Welcome to the Filipino American Woman Project podcast show, brought to you by our family on biasboba.com.
We're your co-hosts, Jen Amos
and Nani Dominguez-Smith.
After 3 seasons of sharing stories for Pinays by Pinays, we've gained the knowledge and language to articulate our experiences, and now we're ready to tell our own.
As we venture off into the world of business partnership, we want to bring you along for the ride.
Keep listening to hear how we explore our Pinay identities together as podcasters, content creators, and entrepreneurs.
Now, let's get into the show.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here at the Filipino American Woman Project. I am your creator and co-host, Jen Amos. And as always, I have my co-host and business partner, Nani Dominguez-Smith. Nani Dominguez-Smith, welcome back to the TFAW Project.
Welcome back, beautiful people.
Yes. And if you are listening to this episode on our podcast, you may be wondering, hey, it's been weeks since I've heard from Jen and Nani. What's going on? I remember that back in October when season 4 began during Filipino American History Month, you all said that you were going to be publishing an episode on a weekly basis. Why is it that when I scroll through my Apple Podcasts and see that you only have 2 episodes this year, Why is that? And so glad you asked. So as of the new year, Nani and I have been hyper-focused on building out our new platform, which is not a secret anymore. It's called thenewfilipina.com. And if you want to know the meaning behind thenewfilipina.com, we highly encourage you to listen to the last episode 152, where we actually were inspired to call this new platform the New Filipina because of what we read in the book Little Manila is in the Heart by Don Mabalan in our Chismes with Jen and Nani book club. And so that's where the name came from. And I know we have more backstory on it, but that is our new platform. We kind of call it our Discord 2.0. And so if you are interested in being in community with us, daily conversations with your fellow Pinays and people who are in support of our community, check out thenewfilipina.com. But Nani, we have been working hard. We've been hustling, right? And so I want to let you all know that like Nani and I only typically meet in real time Fridays for 2 hours, if we're lucky. Sometimes things happen and sometimes it gets reduced to like an hour and a half or whatever. Otherwise, we do a lot of independent work when we can in the middle of the busyness of life and work and family and all that stuff. And so we had decided to, instead of record as frequently as we used to use that real time together, the less than 2 hours we have a week to build out this platform, thenewfilipina.com. Nani, while I share the link in the IG chat here, any thoughts about what the first start of the year or how the start of the year has been since you and I have been building out this platform?
I think it just feels really good to finally let people into our plans and like actually divulge these teasers that we've been making along the way. So now that we have the platform stood up, we're still continuing to build it out, which is going to take some time, but I've really enjoyed having like our, what do you call it? Like beta group of initial users come on, and those people, for the most part, have been our Discord OGs, the people that we have been kind of in the trenches in community with every single day, talking about every and anything. And so we've been really excited to not just explore the platform like between you and I, but to actually have our users in there who have been in community with us and get their real-time feedback and input on how this platform is different than the other ones that they used to engage with us on. And I hope that, if any of them are listening to this now, that they feel that they have been a really integral part of that process, because they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know that we have some people here. We have Hannah and Rachel who are part of our platform, thenewfilipina.com. Not to put y'all on the spot, but if you did want to say anything about the platform, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to mention anything in the comments here while we are on live. And if any of you have questions about it, feel free to comment as well, especially since we're doing this in real time. We're happy to, answer these questions. And so, yeah, it's been, gosh, I don't know. I don't even feel like I had the time to like really reflect on what this means for our community because I've just been like in it. I've been in it in regards to like we're building out the spaces, we're building out the different levels of if people want to engage more with us. And more importantly, just trying to respond to everyone. I have someone that I'm thinking of right now. And if this person is listening to this, they know who they are. But I recently got my first long message, Nani, from someone in our network, messaged me after listening to a Just Miss with Jen and Nani episode on our private podcast. And it was like, it was a long novel. And so
Oh,
in addition to Rachel, whom I have a lot of messages to get back to, I now have this other person that I want to get back to. And I know that you had mentioned to me before, Nani, you're like, Jen, it's okay. You don't have to respond to everyone. Like, you don't have to do that to yourself. But I think for me, because in the early stages of all of this, especially with this new community, I want to respond to everyone as long as it takes for me to respond because I feel seen, like I feel seen. Like, we talk about this often about how you and I, before this community that we have today, it was just you and I, and then prior to you, it was just me. And doing this in our homes, in our closets or whatever, especially in the pandemic, doing everything from home. And it just felt like we were in this bubble. And so for us to actually get all of this feedback and to get novels, I just can't help but want to respond. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, of course. And I think that that's part of the reason why people join our community and why they feel like they gain so much out of it is because you do put so much of yourself. I do put so much of myself. Like, I think we go pretty hard on making ourselves accessible to our community, to our audience, to anyone who's like poking around thinking if they should join the community. I think that's our number one thing is we really want to be accessible to people. We really want to like step off the soapbox and hand the mic to someone else.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what makes our community special. So, as long as you're not feeling stretched too thin or, over capacity with it, then I think it's a beautiful thing. I just also always want you to be mindful of your personal boundaries and taking care of us first so that we can nurture this community in the meaningful and intentional way that we do.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. And I always appreciate you reminding me that I'm allowed to practice boundary setting and all that good stuff. And I think part of also where my hustle is coming from is wanting to build this community enough to the point where everyone's supporting each other. Like, let's say, for example, we can step away from a lot of the conversations for just a couple of days, or if we have to, for whatever reason, and the conversations keep going. I feel like for the last 4 years of doing this together, summer will be our 4-year anniversary, y'all, BT dubs, since Nani and I have been co-hosting together. It's been great. We're not really good at celebrating anniversaries, but just wanted to start mentioning it now. So it's kind of my way of remembering that this is our 4-year anniversary together
Yeah, in case we
podcasting.
forget,
No,
when June rolls around, you guys remind us.
yeah, if anyone like cares to like put it on their calendar and remind us, like that would be great. But anyway, I feel like our community has heard a lot from us already. And I'm glad that throughout the years, we've been able to spark conversation and foster conversation. And it's my hope now that the conversation grows beyond us. And it's interesting because we first started to experiment with this with our 5-day reflection series in our Instagram group chat. We had decided to take the main questions we used to ask to all of our past guests on the show and turn it into a group chat for people to do it. And we realized that there's so many stories to share. Like, so many people want to share so much of themselves. And there's only so much time for you and I, Nani, to facilitate these conversations or nurture these conversations. And so this is partly why we do have the new Filipina.com, because it's my hope that the community will help each other, will support each other. And even the way that we're designing this community, I'm hoping, like, if you all are part of the group already, we recently made this update from chat rooms to chat feeds. And everyone in our community probably already knows about this. For everyone else, basically what I wanted to make sure we do is to make sure that anyone who's part of this community feels like they can create space for themselves to start their own conversations and keep a conversation going within that space that they created for themselves, as opposed to everyone being part of, like, let's say, a big group chat. And so that has really been a result of seeing how much people want to share of themselves. And I want to make sure that people don't feel like they have to, quote unquote, shrink themselves because maybe someone else has a more dominant voice or, what have you. And so it's just really beautiful to see very quickly how we're able to build out this community because of the live engagement we're already getting on the new Filipina.com.
Yeah, this is all in the name of building a self-sustaining community. Like we always tell you guys, that's our mission. And that goes beyond supporting Filipino owned businesses or supporting Filipino led media, but more so like, how can I support you? I think we want to move our mindset to like, how can we eat off of each other? You know what I mean? And
Mm.
I was just thinking about that yesterday. You are like such a great living example of that because you are literally living in a house provided by one of our past TIFA guests. You know what I mean? You're literally a living, breathing example of someone who embodies building a self sustaining community. And I think that's just so awesome because, yes, Melody is your friend and now your landlord. And you were gracious enough to bring her on the show early enough to where she's also a TIFA OG. So it's like, not only do we lean on each other for like professional networking and support and development, but also like our personal, like vulnerable, intimate details of our lives we depend on each other for things like that. So the more you give, the more you get. The more you share in our new platform on thenewfilipino.com, the more benefits you'll find from this community. And it really takes that investment initiated on your end to say, like, yes, I want to open myself to these opportunities, and like your living situation is just an example of something that might come to fruition because of that open mindset.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And in case anyone is hearing this for the first time, so, okay, I kid you not, I have moved to 8 different homes in the last 8 years for a number of reasons. I'll give you at least 8, but I'll give that later. That's a whole chismis. Actually, I have plenty of episodes on the Chismis with Jen and Nani private podcast, in which you all can have access to on thenewfilipino.com, where we really dive into what my life has been like here in the East Coast for the last 4 years. And I think this will be my 5th year out here now. So crazy. But anyway, the short story is that my husband and I were looking for a new place. And long and behold, it turns out that one of our past guests on the show, who happens to be my longest friend out here since I moved out here, was looking for renters for her property. And so we just moved into her place. Wow, like about almost 2 months ago now. I had to think about that because so much has happened. My dog got sick. So much has happened in this short time. But one thing I had to learn from the community is I was so used to giving and being self sacrificial. And if you're hearing my story for the first time, my mom modeled that for me growing up, to just give and give and give and not receive. And it's because of this community that I actually had to start learning to receive because of all the messages we got and all the support we've been getting and all the advice we've been receiving on how to grow our community. And so part of that receiving is receiving help, especially in vulnerable moments where our prior landlord says, "Hey, we're going to sell the place, and you're going to have to move out soon, and to lean against community like that and to vulnerably say, "Hey, I'm going to need a new place. Do you know of anything?" And for people to be more than willing to offer. I mentioned this to you guys on the show before, but my word for the year is to receive, because it just seems like I don't have a choice but to receive right now because people want to give stuff to me. And I really appreciate it. And I'm here for it. So thank you for pointing that out. And before we continue forward, I do want to give a shout out to some people here on IG Live. We have Nikki. Nikki actually was a past guest, one of our OG guests on the show. So thank you for coming out and joining us here. Mama Rayche, thanks for joining us. Always Sunny in Arizona. I like that. That sounds like a TV show. Like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And Hannah made a comment about thenewfilipina.com. Hannah says, really enjoying the platform and meeting more people who are part of the community. Really happy to have you there, Hannah. Rachel says, as a fellow podcaster, I've known Jen and Nani for a while. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. And they've helped me navigate the topic of representation and what it means. Fun community. Thank you, Rachel, so much for saying that. And looks like we have Gardenia Apothecary. Thanks for joining us. Oh, and then Hannah also says, I was a bit of a lurker of the TIFA podcast, and I'm so grateful to have joined the community because I can get to know more people and build a community with people who have similar backgrounds. Well, thank you for lurking. And more importantly, thank you for making yourself visible to us. I just recently shared a love letter to all of you in our community about how significant your visibility is. Because here's the thing, we get thousands of downloads, but some of those people we will never see. We will never hear from them. They will never leave a review. They will never email us. They will never like any of our posts. They're just happy listening. And that is more than okay. That is more than okay. What's affirming is when you do make yourself visible to us and actually communicate with us and tell us that the show is really making a positive impact. So thank you, Hannah, for that. And I'm so glad that you decided to come out of lurking to be part of our community. And I'm happy to hear that you are just getting a ton of value already from just the less than 2-3 weeks that we started the new Filipino.com. We're just so happy to have you. Anyway, those are the updates so far, Nani. I'm going to move ahead unless there's anything else you want to add.
I can't see the comments and stuff on IG, so I don't know what's going on there. Sorry, I can't help you read those.
It's okay. I got you. And we also have O School Kelly. Thanks for joining us. So happy to have you here. We're going to go ahead and get to our next updates. Okay. So we have the new Filipina.com. And some people may be wondering, hey, especially for people who maybe started listening to our show and started going back to the old shows, you may have heard our former website, biasboba.com. So just so you all know, biasboba.com is the first platform in which we started to receive financial support from all of you. And part of why we decided to use that platform back then was because I wanted to have a platform where people wanted to support us, but maybe not on a monthly basis, maybe like a one-time basis. That is what biasboba.com is perfect for. So if you are, someone where it's like, hey, I'm not ready to join the community, I'm not ready to make a monthly commitment, but I would love to buy you a cup of boba. That is where you can still support us at biasboba.com. You can buy anywhere from 1 to 20 to, pick a number amounts of boba for one time. If you really like our show and you want to continue to support Filipina-led media, biasboba.com is still the perfect platform for that. Now, as of right now, we are no longer posting any exclusive content on there. All of the exclusive content for our new Discord community, the Chismis Corner, as we're calling it, the what else is there? Oh, the book club and our private podcast. That is all available on the new Filipina.com. So really, when you're supporting us on biasboba.com, well, you're notifying us that you support the show, in which we'd be more than happy to give you a shout out on the show. And so the site still exists. We were just more focused on the new Filipina.com because of the community that we're able to be building on there. And so Hannah says, I'm glad I'm out of the lurker closet. I'm glad too. It means a lot for people to come out of the lurker closet. If anyone else is coming out of the lurker closet, just let us know. I'm very curious to know. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about if you are not ready to join us on the new Filipina.com, how you can continue to engage with us. And we do have all the socials except for TikTok. So we have like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. And because Nani and I started on Instagram, or we met through Instagram, and because we have engaged with most of you on Instagram, we have decided that Instagram is going to continue to be our number one social media platform in which we will have these IG live shows and our upcoming reflection series, which we'll touch upon a little later. Check out our newsletter when we're officially doing that again. We've been really busy. We haven't been able to launch that again. But yeah, Nani, any thoughts on Instagram kind of being our main platform for social media?
I think that I have mixed feelings about Instagram just because it is this like hub of communication and like intimate communication for our community before we decided to, invest in standing up a whole platform of our own. So it does hold that special place in my heart. And it's also intimidating in the sense that like, I think what I'm finding with myself is that I don't have good boundaries when it comes to Instagram. I'm either like, opening the app and falling down the rabbit hole and forgetting why I opened it in the first place, or, I'm feeling overwhelmed with like the content creation part of it, which I also enjoy, but not when it becomes like a task.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully those are some things that our future interns can help us with in the coming months, because we will be picking back up our internship program, it sounds like. And I am excited to connect with people who might find more joy in doing those things, or are able to exercise healthier boundaries than I am with the app.
Yeah. Well, just for the record, social media is designed to suck you in. Like it just is. And
I know I saw the Netflix documentary and I was like, that is me. I am the target client for them.
Yeah. And there are books, like I have read like 1 or 2 books that talk about like how social media really impacts our mental health and all that. So if anyone's like looking for that, let me know. One of the books that comes to mind for me right now, which I haven't done this, of course, but the title of it goes something like 10 reasons why you should delete your social media accounts right now. And so there's that. I think that's the right title. I'll have to like double check. But I want to say like for me, it's interesting because it was like beginning 2021 when I had this like come to Jesus moment where I was like, okay, no more. Like I had this week where I just completely shut off my phone for an entire week because I just went through this awful experience with a group of people that Nani knows about because we talked about it extensively on our private podcast. And it got me to realize like, oh my gosh, it's not always healthy to just, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is how you and I met, Nani, but like, it's not always healthy to like make friends on social media with the
Make
basis of,
internet friends.
yeah, with the basis of, oh, let's take photos together and look like we love each other. But then when we actually need each other, we're not going to help each other. And you're too needy, you know? Anyway, again, private podcast, y'all, you got to listen to it. And, and so I had this like moment where I was like, okay, I need to pull back. Like I need to focus on building a local life. And fast forward to today, I'm really proud of the boundaries I have set with social media. So fun tip for all of you, in case you're like, I can't help it, like Instagram sucks me in. Like if you're that kind of person that can't help but like get sucked in, even though you have all the right intentions, what I do is I typically don't have social media apps on my phone. Like I only have Instagram on here right now because we're going live. But other than that, like it's not on my phone. And what I do if I want to get on Instagram is I bookmark it. I bookmark it on my browser, but I bookmark it to my profile. The reason being is if you just go to Instagram.com and you're logged in, it immediately takes you to the public feed. And based on what you have done in the past, the algorithm will set up your feed so that it'll show the most endearing post that'll make you want to click on it. So the good thing is that if you bookmark your Instagram account on your browser to just your profile, you already dodge that. Like you avoid, getting something pushed at you.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a fun tip. So I would bookmark my profile. So for example, like here, for example, with Instagram, like I'm looking at my browser right now, I bookmarked the TFAW Project Instagram and I just booked the profile. So the exact link would be instagram.com/the Filipino American Woman. So no matter
Oh, I
what,
see what you're saying.
yeah.
Mhm.
So no matter what, whenever I click on it, it goes immediately to my profile. I don't get
Not to
bombarded.
the feed.
Yeah, I don't get
Yeah.
bombarded with the public feed and I could just focus on what I came there for.
Yeah, no, that is super helpful. I think that what we're trying to say is that while we recognize Instagram as a valuable like way to meet you all and connect with you all, and we understand it's most other people's preferred way to, find and connect with us and initially be introduced to us, our real goal is to communicate with you more openly, more freely
Mhm.
on our actual platform instead. So like
Yeah.
we're here on Instagram and we are prioritizing this space so that we can again keep ourselves accessible to you, but what we really want you to do is join us on our platform so that we can kind of like take our shoes off and get comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what I'm starting to learn about our platform, Nani, is that you can customize your public feed there. So on the newfilipino.com, the only people you'll see in your feed are the people who are part of our community. And even then, it gives you various options on how to sort it. You can sort your feed based on, hey, I just want to see what the latest activity is, to, hey, I just want to see what I posted, to, oh, I want to like see if a specific person posted. So you have more control, where with most social media platforms, you get paid ads pushed in front of you, or depending on your past activity on social media, the algorithms will push whatever seduces you, into the app and gets you to stay in the app. I hope that Instagram doesn't kick me off, Naughty. I hope it doesn't kick me off
I
for like
know as
saying
we're
these
on
things.
live
As I'm
bashing
like,
Instagram.
no, okay, don't get me wrong. I love Instagram. Love it. I love certain parts of it. And there's like the pros and cons of being on social media. But obviously,
It's a double-edged sword.
yeah, but obviously we're
As
here.
are most things in life. So, yes. Anyway, moving on from our love-hate relationship with
Yeah, Instagram,
Instagram,
keep us on, please. We love you.
as we are on Instagram.
Yes. So just so you all know, this is our preferred, you hear that, Instagram, this is our preferred social media platform out of all the social media platforms. So just for the record, we are happy to be on Instagram to communicate with you all in this way. And so in case you all try to engage with us on our other platforms like Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, and you don't hear from us, that is because we are primarily focused on our Instagram account. So just so you all know, so thank you all for actually being here in real time.
Yeah, and I do have one last thing to say about Instagram, though, while I'm talking all this shit about it. I am also having a lot of fun learning how to be a graphic designer in Canva.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun process to get into when I have the time to like do my research and figure out, how to make the templates pretty and all that stuff. But if you guys peep our feed, not our stories, but our feed on Instagram, on our profile, then let me know what you think of my skills.
Yes, yes. Nani has taken over our Instagram. And if you see everything that's related to the new Filipino.com, that's like all her. So if you like it, please comment in the images, even to just say, I
Yes.
like your images. Like you don't have to join us. Like you really
Yeah,
don't.
I just need the validation, you
Nani,
guys.
just validate Nani and say, this was, I mean, I already validated her enough, but I think that she
Yeah.
needs more validation because I'm like too easy. Like I praise her like all the time. I'm just like, I'm kind of like a mom. It's like, oh, it's you, mom,
No, no,
like,
no. I appreciate that validation just as much, but I want to know that our community loves it just as equally as we do.
yes, yes, what Nani said. So if you if you like her images, it's as of right now, it's the first row, like the most recent row of images. Like Nani made all of those. Just let us know. Just like it or comment on it. We'd love to hear from you. Real quickly, we
Yeah.
had a bunch of people joining us right now. I don't know what happened. Did you guys just get out of something? Like, like so quick shout outs.
Everyone's on lunch.
Yeah, we got Dineguan on. Oh, I love that. Tofu fork. What is I love these names. It's Jalen, Dina, Marianne from the Filipino Mom, Heal with Emerald. Thank you all so much for joining us in real time. We were just talking about Instagram and how much we love it because we don't want to get kicked off if we say otherwise. But also because this is our way of engaging with all of you. So thank you all so much for being here. All right, moving on. So for some of you right now who are like going back to earlier when let's say like someone out there is making this comment like, oh my gosh, you guys aren't like posting on a weekly basis anymore. Why? Well, just as a recap, we've been working on the new Filipino.com. Also, if you do want to hear us more frequently, that is what our private podcast is for. So right now with the TFAW Project, as of right now, as we continue to build out our new home, we are only publishing one episode a month. And that's what you're watching right now. It's just going to be the polished version of this. And so that's us. That's what we're doing for TFAW Project is publishing one episode a month. However, if you want more episodes, we have our private podcast show, Chismes with Jen and Nani, in which we release 2 episodes every single month. And we've been doing this for like well over a year now. In fact, I think as of right now, we're nearing our first like 50 episodes. I have to check. I could be totally saying this wrong, but I think we're about to hit 50 episodes on there, which means we've been doing this for, I think, well over a year and a half. And as I know Rachel's on here. So Rachel has described our show as the rated R version of the TFAW Project. That's how she describes Chismes with Jen and Nani private podcast. But if you are interested in, getting more of us, especially when we're not as active on our public podcast right now, definitely check out the Chismes with Jen and Nani podcast, in which you can learn more about at thenewfilipino.com. Nani, any thoughts about the private podcast?
I think if you haven't checked out our private podcast yet, what I would say about it is if you like these IG lives, which we title Jen and Nani Unfiltered, then that's where you really get our unfiltered selves.
Yeah.
And when we're recording episodes for Chismes with Jen and Nani, it feels like we're just like on the phone and, we're like talking to each other. And I'm always kind of not shocked, but just like surprised at how candid I sound when I listen back to those episodes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, yeah, it's like definitely a different vibe than the TFAW Project podcast, which is more of like, accessibility and learning and storytelling and community. And with our private podcast, it's really like straight chismis. So if
Yeah.
you're a chismosa, then join us on the newfilipino.com and subscribe to our membership to get access to our private podcast, Chismis with Jen and Nani.
Yes, absolutely. So I know that I'm actually really surprised at how many downloads we've already received for that show. And I never publicly share downloads, or not never. Sorry, I take that back. I don't always share
Rarely
the downloads because like for me, what matters more are the quality of interactions we have with all of you. And of course, the vibrancy of our online community. To me, that matters more than the downloads we get. Although I'm very proud of our downloads. I just don't want to share it because I feel like people look at us differently if they know like what our downloads are.
Yeah, I think that's like just our business, but it is
Yeah.
something that between you and I, we should probably pay more attention to, just because up until now, we really don't ever talk about it.
Yeah, we don't talk about it, but I will reassure you that I do look at it pretty frequently just because I'm in the back office and I have to upload the episodes. And so I'm actually able to see every time I log into our web hosting service, like how many downloads we have. And I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Like even in the last like couple of weeks, we haven't been publishing an episode. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. People are still listening to our show, or people are still discovering our show. And I absolutely love it. I'm incredibly grateful for it. A couple things. So shout out to 5th grade Fly Panay. Love that.
That's Kiani,
Is that?
my
Hi,
cousin,
Kiani.
who was on, yeah, I think it's her teacher Instagram. Hey,
Yeah.
what'd she say?
She just said, hi, I have to pick up my students soon, but saw you're live. Just wanted to say hello. Hi, Kiani. So glad for you
Hey,
to join
girl,
us.
hey.
And also we have Rachel saying, since I'm super nerdy, I looked it up. I see 48 episodes on TJN and 152 episodes on the TFAW Project. Oh my gosh, you know what that means? If we actually do the math, that's 200 episodes total. That's
Oh
wild.
my. So we've hit another milestone.
Yeah, so I think we should celebrate.
Shucks, we missed it.
See, so this is what it means when we're really bad at celebrating things. But look at that. Look at that. Rachel made us aware that we have published 200 episodes. Actually, I kind of like knew, but I didn't like count it. So I'm having this moment like, oh, that's cool.
I know. I think we need to do a better job of tracking our wins. I think that that's something I'm realizing is more and more important, sharing your wins with people.
Yeah.
And also, I think that that's relevant information for this podcast and these lives is kind of like, you guys want to know what we're doing and you guys want to know, we're not just like not recording for the sake of all this back office stuff that we're doing. We're like hitting milestones. We're reaching goals. We are, moving the goalposts for ourselves. We're making movement. So it's probably of interest, but you let us know.
Yeah.
To, know kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like part of why I don't like to celebrate anniversaries or milestones is because, and actually, I know Marianne's on here. Nani and I did a workshop for Rising Filipinas. So shout out to Rising Filipinas. Y'all got to check them out. They've been holding a series of workshops just for our community, not like the TIFA community specifically, but the Filipino community as a whole. And we were talking there about our build as we go mentality. And so actually, if you want to get a replay of it, we do provide it for our private podcast listeners. It's going to be available. It's not available yet, but if you want to get access to that replay, check out thenewfilipina.com and subscribe, and you'll be able to hear what we talked about in that workshop. But anyway, part of why for me, I don't pay attention to milestones or anniversaries and all that stuff is one, for me, it feels like it's a lot of pressure to accumulate things. Like if I were to like do that with let's say with my husband, you're like, oh, look, it's our 1 year anniversary. Oh, it's our 2 year, it's our 3 year, it's our 4 year. But it just like scares me to think that like, what if that all falls apart, and backstory for me, that comes from my abandonment issues of losing my dad at a young age and feeling like things don't last forever. But more importantly, I have a healthier way of looking at it now. And that is, and this is what I said in our workshop. So I said, like, I believe in finding purpose in the present, joy in the journey, and blessings as you build. So I'm a very like in the moment person, where that's why we have these moments where it's like, oh, we did 200 episodes. That's cool. But it wasn't like I was living for the 200 episodes. You know what I mean? And so it's more about like, oh, that's nice that we passed it. Now let's just keep going,
Yeah. No, I get it. Celebrating wins or even like tracking on our wins also feels unnatural and kind of like coerced to me. But I just want to point out that I'm recognizing a behavior pattern. Okay, same with your opinions about the vision board. Before we did the vision boards, you are like scared of committing to the idea.
I really am.
Of, putting something out into the universe. And I think that that's the same underlying issue that I'm hearing now with celebrating wins or tracking on our wins and things like that is like the non-committal aspect of it, or like the fear of commitment that comes along with that, and kind of like declaring those things out loud. But I do think it is something that we could benefit from incorporating in our practice, even if it's just, like very casually.
Yes. Which casual will be the key word, because any grandiose thing like scares the heck out of me.
Yes, we see that.
Yeah. Actually, for everyone, if you missed out on our vision board event, we had a vision board event last December with Dr. Abby, and I was very transparent about how daunting I find vision boards, because I feel like it's this grandiose act, like New Year resolutions, where you set your goals, but then like, day one of New Year's, you already fail. And therefore, you don't end up doing your New Year's resolutions anymore. And so I try to avoid things that seem like a grandiose act or that kind of foster the all or nothing thinking, meaning that you're the kind of person that either goes like 1,000% or 0%, or you try to do things perfectly, but then the moment you mess up, you just give up on everything. And that's what I have suffered with for the longest time, Nani, is that all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
And destination addiction and all these things that we talked about in the Rising Filipinas workshop. And so to be able to focus on being in the moment really works for me. At the same time, yes, I'm open, just as how I built a vision board that I'm looking at right now on my wall, by the way.
See, and you got really into it.
Yes, it
and
doesn't
you
scare
are
me.
such a fan of the idea now.
Yeah,
So
I just updated the other
let's
day.
keep that same energy. See?
Yes.
That's exactly what I mean. And my last argument that I will make about sharing our wins, even if it feels uncomfortable or coerced at first, is not just for our benefit. Like people listening, even if we think that something is like small and insignificant, like passing 200 episodes, or like that's just like comes with the territory kind of.
Yeah.
To someone else, that might be incredibly inspiring. You never know where people are at in their journeys and what their goals and objectives are, and how hearing our kind of the natural progression of our project will help them.
Yes. And that is why you are my co-host, Nani, because you ground me and encourage stability and accumulation and all those things that I am warming up to. I'm warming up to it. Just like this new home I'm living in. This is like truly symbolic. It's like, okay, we're going to live here. It was funny because like
I think that's appropriate for this time of year. This is the time of year that we're warming up, just period.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, as a recap, y'all, if you want to hear more of these fun conversations that Nani and I typically have, we publish 2 episodes a month for Chismis with Jen and Nani. And you can have access to that private podcast now by visiting thenewfilipina.com. Look at that, Nani. It's so easy to just like send people to one place now. Like I feel like we're like, oh, go to Discord, go to this website, go to that website. No, we just got one site now. And I love it.
Yep. Don't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just thenewfilipina.com.
It's like all there. All right. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and shift gears, Nani, and talk about some upcoming events that is happening. At the start of the year, we have really committed to doing more live events. So as a recap, every first Friday of the month, we are doing Instagram Live, in which you all can watch us right now, what you're exactly watching right now, record a podcast episode. And so you will actually see this episode. This is episode 153 that is going to be released, the polished version, in the upcoming weeks here in February. But you get to watch this live first Friday of every month. And then as of right now, for the next upcoming months, we are so fortunate to be in collaboration with Dr. Abby. Dr. Abby, she has been on our show in the past, and she is the author of the book Speak Up Anak, and she is all about teaching our community on the topic of assertiveness. And so this Valentine's Day, so the first 2 months, it's only the first 2 months of the year.
So I think what you're trying to say is that to kick off our year, we have launched a series of monthly workshops with Dr. Abby, author of Speak Up Anak, and 2-time TEDx speaker and past TFAW OG guest. She is going to be hosting a workshop series, one a month, on assertiveness as an extension to us reading her book in our TJN book club. And in each of these workshops, she's going to be exploring how you can practice assertiveness in different relationship dynamics that you have in your life. So whether that is with your employer in the workspace or with your family at home, like parents, titas, uncles, or with your partner, there's different ways to practice assertiveness with the different types of relationships that you have in your life. So even when you think about someone like a teacher or a dentist or a doctor or an airplane pilot or something like that, how do you be assertive in those moments of, with people in positions of authority that you don't have personal ties to? We're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty details of all of those interpersonal Filipino values and how they come out in our communication styles and the types of relationships that we form with people.
Well, you could have said it better than what I was going to attempt to say. And I kept trying to
ramble.
I kept trying to reset like 5 times. So there you go, y'all.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. Well, then the ramble was useful.
Yes. I realized that I didn't realize that people were commenting here. So I want to give a shout out to, I'm totally going to butcher this. So Baya Nika Tapang. Thank you for joining us. Aurora Lucas, thanks for joining us. And Marianne, thanks for saying making moves. That's what she was saying, making moves. And then also she said, thanks for the shout out, ladies. Follow Rising Filipinas. Yes, y'all got to check out Rising Filipinas. They are doing amazing things. To Snack Zada, thanks for joining us. Adriana XOXO, thanks for joining us, and for the hearts as well. And yeah, okay, we're going to get back into it. Thank you all for joining us in real time. Yes. So every Tuesday, so as a recap, every second Tuesdays of the month, we are collaborating with Dr. Abby to talk about the topic of assertiveness. And this month happens to fall on Valentine's Day. And we realized that we all are available during the day, 12 p.m. Pacific time and 3 p.m. Eastern time. And so if you all have nothing going on Valentine's Day, or you want to join us on Valentine's Day, we are going to be doing an IG live. And I'm assuming it's going to be about relationships because it happens to land on Valentine's Day. We haven't talked it out with Dr. Abby, but I'm assuming that's what it's going to be about.
It's totally up to her, but we feel that would be appropriate.
Yeah, so exactly.
If that's what she decides.
Yeah, so we hope that you will join us. And of course, you can actually learn more about this in our upcoming newsletter, as well as if you are in the newfilipino.com with us, we do list all of our events on there now. So it's just really easy to RSVP. And I believe you can I think you can actually add whatever you RSVP onto your calendar so that it shows up in your calendar. If I'm saying that wrong, someone let me know, because I haven't tried it yet, but I'm assuming you can do that, because I tried to edit something and it said, hey, this is going to impact someone's calendar if you change this detail. And I was like, oh my gosh, the pressure. So apparently that's what it does. Nani is like, if you RSVP, you can choose the option to put it on your calendar. How convenient. thenewfilipino.com. So convenient in so many ways.
Seriously, so many amazing features, you guys. It's game changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And other event that we do every month now. So we have 3 major events we do. So as I mentioned, the first 2 IG live shows, the one that you're watching today, every second Tuesday of the month with Dr. Abby. And then every third Fridays of the month, we have our book club. And so this book club has been going on for probably over a year now, if not longer. And this time around, we don't, as of right now, as of this recording, we haven't announced what book we're going to officially read yet. But the thing is that I kind of like to say that the book club or the book is kind of an excuse for us to get together, because not everyone who comes to the book club actually reads. Sometimes they just want to show up and see and listen in on other people's interpretation of the book. Or, if we don't have a book to discuss, just like in December when it was the holidays / our birthday month, people just came together and, talked about, reflected on whatever books really resonated with them in 2022, or just sharing other things, just networking and getting to know our community. I know that there was some deep conversations there that unfortunately I couldn't participate in, but I was eavesdropping in on I was being a lurker like Hannah in the Zoom room, because I could only call in and not say anything because I was in a noisy place at that time. But yeah, Nani, let us know what your thoughts are on the book club and why people should join us.
So my current thoughts on the book club, you know how we talk about doing timestamp reviews? I feel like I'm kind of doing a timestamp review in my head right now, and just kind of recognizing all of the work that we've put in. We've done a lot. At times, depending on the type of book we're reading, the more, dense historical context books, those make me feel like I'm almost in a class, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I like that and sometimes I don't. So what I really appreciated about Dr. Abby's book was that it wasn't as dense as it was thought provoking in a really casual way. And yeah, I appreciated that. I really enjoyed that. And I know that we are toying around with a couple of different ideas for our next book, and we might, poll our community to see if they prefer, we keep on the same kind of vibe that we have created already, or whether they want to do something more lighthearted and interactive and more of an activity based book, because there's really no rules or parameters. We're totally creating this book club and, going in the direction with it that our book club members are interested in taking it and participating. So I think that it would be good for us to, start having that conversation in our book club space on thenewfilipino.com about the next book that we're reading, because yeah, we need to take a pulse on the community and see what people are into and see what people are looking forward to and what people have the bandwidth for these
Yes,
days.
I agree. I'm glad that we are not rushing into another book. I kind of feel like we're fleshing out our agenda for the next book club right now. But I like the idea of, everyone who is part of our book club or people who want to join for the first time, to come check it out and maybe make some recommendations, or again, it's an opportunity to get to know each other as well. If you're interested in, seeing who other listeners of the show are like and what brought them to want to be a part of this community and be visible to us. And more importantly, like want to have these intellectual conversations. I always like to go back to like why the TFAW Project started back in December 2016, which was my 10-year high school anniversary, by the way. Now that I think about it. So now you all know how old I am if you do the math. I mean, I would tell you how old I am anyway. I'm not like ashamed of that in any way. But anyway, getting back on topic here, I always remember like why I first started the show. And I had very modest reasons. I just wanted to hear, or I wanted to hear more stories of American women of Filipino descent. That was like my honest, innocent desire. And it's so crazy to think about what that has evolved into and what that is today. And, fast forward to now, I really love like learning and in community with everyone. And I was going to say something really powerful, but I totally forgot, Nani. I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Well, whatever you were saying was making me think of a Toni Morrison quote, which I'm probably going to butcher because I never remember quotes exactly as they go. But I think you've said something along these lines before. If you can't find the book you want to read, you have to write that book yourself. And
Yeah.
it goes back to like our interview with Crystal from Filipino on the Rise and how she quoted, find a hole in the world in the shape of you and fill it. And that is such simple, but such game changing advice, which I actually have in the quote of my email signature these days. But anyway, that's what you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I remembered mine and
Oh,
I was like,
perfect.
I was fumbling around. I had to like, okay, this is like really gross, guys. So I used like oil tissue for my face and I wrote my note on the used oil tissue.
Oh,
It's like
cute.
right here. I'm going to do it really fast so you guys don't see how oily this is. I was doing it before you went live. Y'all are welcome.
That was
This is
great.
what happens when you guys join us on live. Here it is.
The
There's
perks
a
of
perfect.
IG Live.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here it
we
is.
will
Really.
be editing that out.
This is how oily I am. Okay, it's an Ilocano skin, y'all. Okay, I remember what I was going to say. So the reason why I brought that up and I reflect on like why I started this to begin with is I realized that unless you are in higher education and unless you, even if you are in higher education, you are at an institution that offers Filipino American history or whatever, it's really difficult to find information and history and stories about our community. It's like an Easter egg hunt or it's like a treasure hunt. You got to actively try to find it. And even if you do have access to it, you have to be in the headspace to want to digest it. Like I remember when I was in college and I did take like the only one Filipino American history class there. I remember just reading whatever they gave us, but it just did not resonate with me. I felt so disconnected to it. And what I love about our community is that this is our way of unconventional learning. We say that as one of our pillars here at the TFAW Project is unconventional learning, where we all are coming together to share, first and foremost, our personal stories. And it's through our personal stories that each of us can kind of connect the dots, based on what we hear about someone's story and their story. They say that history is just a collection of stories. It's really what it is. And so I like that. I feel like the TFAW Project has really evolved into this like casual, unconventional way of learning about our culture. And the best part of it is like learning about it like through each other. Like we learn more about ourselves in community with each other. And to me, coming in full circle here, because I remember stuff now, that is why the book club is so significant, because it's like your school that's not school, or it's the school that you always wanted to have that doesn't grade you, but you get to grade yourself, based on like what you got out of it and what it meant for you. And more importantly, what you put out in the world because of what you know more about yourself in connection with other people who are part of that book club. That's what I love the most about it, Nani. And like every time we show up there, I feel like I walk away just feeling more centered. I feel more grounded in who I am because I learn about everyone else's story who is there. And that's the interesting thing too, is because even though we're reading these books, we encourage people to share their interpretation of the book. And by sharing their interpretation of the book, they're really sharing their own stories. And there's nothing like it's just a whole different level of how we do the TFAW project now. It's so much more fun.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for reading the work of Filipino American authors, whether it be fiction or, nonfiction. It's academic in nature, what we're doing,
Mhm.
but we're doing it very casually and very just like learning through conversation, which is what storytelling is. And yes, what you said earlier is true. History is just a collection of stories. Yet we feel so disconnected when we go to our social studies class in fifth grade and learn about, World War II or whatever, because those stories are not written by us. They're not written from our perspective. They don't even include us oftentimes. And so, whether or not we're reading a novel or, like a murder story or something,
Mhm.
to get into the minds and thoughts of Filipino American authors, whether they be deceased or still living, regardless of the audience that they're writing for, I think is just such a special thing to do. And there's not really a lot of other opportunities to do that. Like you said, we can't offer you a degree or a grade in Filipino American history, but we can offer you like the opportunity to raise your cultural awareness and to connect with your roots and to put history into context of your life and your background and your family, and find a way to deliver that information to you in a way that's digestible. Even if you don't want to read along with us, you're more than welcome to just join for the conversation and to hear our takeaways on the book and how we are relating that back to our experiences and the experiences that people have shared on our platform.
Yeah, I feel like we should call it like the quote unquote book club or like the casual book club, or I mean, we're not going to rename it because I like the name book club, but I've heard this before. Like in one of our last IG lives, someone had mentioned like, oh, thank you for explaining your book club, because they had mentioned that they initially felt that pressure. They already felt that pressure of like having to like read a book. The only person who will actually like fully read a book and take copious notes is Rachel, because Rachel is like an A student. And I know she's watching this right now. And sometimes we like lean against her notes because she has like the best notes in the world. But other than that, like everything that you said, I second everything you said. I'm not going to even attempt to like say anything else. I'm just going to end it there and give some shout outs here. So we have some shout outs here. People joining our community. We have CPOUSN 1985. I had to spell that out because I don't know who that is. So it's CP. Yes, thank you for joining. Alexa Bohr, Billy of Asia, Don't Call Me Etta, and Melody. Naughty Melody is on here.
Oh, hey,
Melody.
Melody.
Hi, Mela Mahalo. Hi, Melody's my landlord. I just
Hey.
noticed she's on here. Thanks for joining. We're so happy to have you. We're actually doing a podcast recording right now, Melody, but we decided to do it on IG Live, and I'm doing it in my office here in Virginia Beach. So shout out to you. Thanks for joining. Oh my gosh, so much pressure. No, I'm kidding. That's not really a lot of pressure. But anyway, so yes, everything you said, I second everything you said. And that's really it, Nani. That is pretty much our updates today. Let me just give everyone a recap on what we talked about. We talked about how our new platform, thenewfilipino.com, and everything that we mentioned today, you can get access to on thenewfilipino.com, such as our upcoming book club sessions, our replays of IG Lives or workshops, and overall community, if you're just looking for community. And I got to tell you, as of right now, if you visit thenewfilipino.com, which is pinned in the comment here, you will come to find, as of right now, it's quite affordable, if not very affordable. And you might be looking at that and thinking like, Jen and Nani, why don't you raise the price? Well, you never know. So why not take advantage of our generosity right now and join us? And worst case scenario, you could just be a part of this community for a month, and that is completely okay with us. We just hope that if you have been yearning for a space that involves everything we have mentioned above already, we hope that you will consider checking us out and continue to support Filipina-led media such as this. Real quick, Rachel says, thanks, Jen. Pleasure to share my notes in the book club and participate. I feel like we're like one of those kids who like try to steal, like try to plagiarize like someone's notes. And it's like Rachel because she's like the perfect A student, But anyway, yes, Rachel, we appreciate it. And, the last thing I often like to say, because I've had some people mention to me in the book club, they would say, hey, I mainly wanted to listen because one, I didn't know what to say. And two, I felt a little intimidated by other people, like sharing stuff. And I've heard this like a number of times privately. And my response to that is, really no matter how many notes or no notes you have at all when you come to this book club, I consider dissecting the book a team effort, to be quite honest. I consider it as, hey, let's all come together and let's all share what we have. And then collectively, if someone re-listens to this replay for the first time around, they will walk away learning so much because of all of us having come together. And that is why it's so important, or that is why we highly encourage you to exercise your voice with us, because you never know who you'll impact just by sharing what's on your mind, just by sharing your candid thoughts. You really don't. And so that is the last thing I want to encourage if anyone wants to be part of our book club. But yes, that is our recaps. IG Lives, first Friday of the month, second Tuesday of the month, our book clubs, third Friday of the month. And I want to close off with one quote, Nani, because I mentioned this in thenewfilipino.com. It was a love letter I wrote to everyone. And this quote really is representative of how I feel about this community. More importantly, like what I wanted for myself and what I hoped to put out there in the world and what I hope to continue to put out there. And so here's a quote I want to read to close this off, and would love to get your thoughts on it. So it's by Parker J. Palmer, and it goes, "The human soul doesn't want to be advised or fixed or saved. It simply wants to be witnessed, to be seen, heard, and companioned exactly as it is." And I'll say that one more time in case you want to hear it again. The human soul doesn't want to be advised or fixed or saved. It simply wants to be witnessed, to be seen, heard, and companioned exactly as it is. I like this quote a lot because I think about friends who I've recently learned to move on from, because I started to realize that they kind of act like saviors. They like to fix things. They hear my problems, they want to fix it, even though they know full well that I have therapy and a lot of support. And also it teaches me to witness people as they are as well. And I think this is why people like our community, because of this come as you are mentality of we're not trying to change you. We're not trying to fix you. We just want to celebrate you as you are. And I'd like to believe that that is what we're putting out there, Nani. And I feel like this quote best sums up where we've been and where we're at and where we hope to continue going. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I actually really like, maybe as a part of our recording schedule, to incorporate this kind of grounding process at the end when we're closing. I think it's a beautiful way to close out our conversation. It's something, to give some food for thought for the next week or two, or whenever you're going to hear from us next. And yeah, some grounding exercises never hurt nobody. So I really like that. And I think it's all encompassing for the community that we have built here, and really the message that we try to convey through all of the content that we create, and all of the space that we take up, is come as you are. If nobody else appreciates it, we do. And we want to hear your story.
Well, thank you for that, Nani. And I'm glad that you like this idea. It was totally not my intention, but I think I subconsciously knew I needed to bring up a quote, because we've always done it every time we interviewed someone. We'd always ask them at the end, what's your life lesson? So I think I kind of just subconsciously knew to do that. So, okay, good. That sounds like fun. I want to do that. So next month, Nani, if you want to, we'll take turns. We'll take turns.
Yeah, I'll find a quote.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. And I guess that's it. So to our viewers here on Instagram, thank you all so much for joining us via live. You were able to hear it here first. For everyone who kind of hopped in and out and maybe didn't see the beginning, don't worry. You will see the published version of this episode. What do you call it? On the TFAW Project. And yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, you're going to see
in your podcast app.
Yeah, you're going to see the polished version of this in your preferred podcasting platform, or you could always visit our podcast website, thetfawproject.com. If you want to continue to learn more about our community or even be a part of it, check out thenewfilipino.com. And with that said, we hope that you all are having a great start to the new year. Happy February. We hope to see you for our next IG Live, Tuesday, February 14th on Valentine's Day. So excited. You can learn more about it. We'll be posting it online, or check out our newsletter, in which it is free to subscribe. Just check out the bio link of our Instagram account. And when you select the bio link, you'll be able to select if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, if you want to get all the updates from our community, especially if you are not ready to move forward in joining thenewfilipino.com. All good. Again, come as you are. We will meet you where you're at. And we thank you. We thank you for your time and just supporting us in this way, even if it's to just join us here on IG Live. We always love it. We always love it. So thank you all so much. I'm going to stop this recording now. Have a great weekend and talk soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yay.
Thank you for listening to the Filipino American Woman Project podcast show.
Do you want to continue to be part of the conversation? Then join our Discord community for free today. Check out the link in the show notes to join us now.
And don't forget to subscribe to our weekly newsletter for the latest show updates and episode releases. The link is also available in the show notes.
Lastly, if you wish to support us on our journey, consider showing us some love on biasboba.com.
That's all for now. Chat with you next time.
Yay!